have learned a lot about the third largest continent of the world, that is North America. In today's lesson, we will be learning about the lumberjacks of Canada. So before we understand who are lumberjacks and why are they so important, let us look at the physical map of Canada. So Canada, as we know, is the second largest country of the world after Russia. So here on the physical map of Canada, we see that the country comprises of a variety of forests. Now out of these, the most abundant and the most prominent we can see is the boreal forest or the taiga forest. The taiga or the boreal forest is marked as a green color on the map. So this particular forest mostly consists of the coniferous trees. As you can see, it covers 40% of the country, and it also is a continuous belt that stretches from the Rocky Mountainous region to the Hudson Bay region. As we can see on the map, the boreal forest or the taiga forest that comprises of coniferous trees stretches as a continuous belt from the Rocky Mountainous region to the Labrador Plateau region. Right? Also, the region around the Hudson Bay is said to be rich in trees like fir and pine. Now, these forests play a very important role for the country of Canada. Why so? So, I just mentioned that the region around the Hudson Bay, that is right here, is rich in trees like pine and fir. However, other trees like spruce, hemlock balsam are also found naturally here. Now, why are these important? And why are we looking at the physical map of Canada? So, the extent of the coniferous forest in the country of Canada has given it an important affluential industry. And what is that? So, we just saw how Canada or most portions of the country is covered by coniferous forests. So, in this world map here, we see that countries in the northern hemisphere contain a vast expanse of coniferous forest, and same goes for the country of Canada. So, Canada is almost entirely covered by coniferous forest. Now, this gives it the opportunity for the establishment of one of the most affluential industries. Here we are talking about the lumbering industry. So the lumbering industry was established efficiently in the country of Canada because of the presence of the coniferous forest. So the presence of coniferous forest makes the country an ideal location for lumbering. And lumbering is one of the most important economic activities of the forestry industry. So lumbering industry was efficiently built in or established in the country of Canada. So lumbering is the process of cutting trees. That's simple? Yes. So the process of cutting down trees and utilizing the forest products for commercial purpose is called lumbering. So the lumbering industry basically involves the process of cutting the trees, most primarily the coniferous trees, and then these trees that have been cut down are then utilized for commercial purpose. So you see that the lumbering industry has played a very important role for the economy of the country of Canada. Why so? Because Canada is believed to be the largest exporter of wood pulp and paper in the world. Now in the process of lumbering and in the lumbering industry, some people play a very important role, or rather the most important role, and they are the lumberjacks. Now who are lumberjacks? Well, lumberjacks are people who cut the trees. So the wood cutters in the lumbering industry are called lumberjacks. Now lumberjacks are now no longer called lumberjacks, but they are now more commonly known as loggers. And this happened when the industry eventually grew and became more professional. Now another interesting and important point to be noted here is that lumbering is not an easy process. It requires a lot of hard work and is a very tough job. The lumberjacks are required to stay away from their families for a long period of times, sometimes for days, for weeks, and sometimes also for months. So lumbering, which is a very tough job, is also a very important one. And the lumbering industry in Canada, which is so influential, provides job opportunities to many. Just like we all have a favorite season, similarly, even lumbering has a favorite season of its own. So winter season is usually preferred to carry on with the process of lumbering. So lumbering is generally carried out in winter, and this is mainly because of two important reasons. Firstly, during winter time, the sap, that is the liquid in the trunk of the trees, they freeze, which makes the carrying away of the logs very easy. So winter is the season to cut because the sap, that is the liquid in the trees, gets frozen, and it is easier to carry out the cut down trees. The second reason is that the ground is covered with snow. Now because of this reason, it is easier to haul the logs that have been cut. So because of these two primary reasons, winter is usually preferred for the process of lumbering. So before we proceed with the lesson, could you help me answer this simple question? Which season is generally preferred for lumbering? Is it the summer season, the autumn season, or the winter season? Yes, we just learned that because of two primary reasons, winter season is preferred for the process of lumbering. That is, the sap, that is the liquid in the trees, are frozen, so carrying out the logs is easier, and secondly, the ground is covered with snow, so hauling the cut down logs is also easier. Now the process of lumbering has been carried out in the country, that is Canada, since a very long time. In the earlier times, the logs were usually dragged by horses and mules, as there were no modern machines. However, at the present date, there are special machines, more technically advanced, and particularly the hydraulic arms that are used to drag or carry out these logs. Now, the process of lumbering does not only involve two processes, that is cutting them and transporting them, but it involves a number of processes and a number of people. So, there are different steps involved in the process of lumbering. And for all these steps, there are different lumberjacks allotted for each step, and they are known by different names. Let's look at them. So the very first process is called felling. Felling is simply the cutting of trees. Now this is the first process, and the people who are involved in the process of cutting the trees or the process of felling are called high riggers. Now these people usually wear spiked boots and safety belts, as they do a very dangerous job of cutting the trees. Therefore, the first step of the lumbering process is felling, which is the cutting down of trees, and the people involved in this process are called high riggers. Now after the process of felling, the huge logs are cut down into smaller pieces for the convenience of transportation. Right? So this process is known as limbing. So limbing is the process of removal of tree branches. So the tree branches that are not required are removed from the main trunk or the main log, and then these are cut down into smaller pieces. So limbing is the second process, that is cutting down the logs into smaller pieces and removing the extra branches. Now lumberjacks who are involved in the process of limbing are called sawyers and buckers. And sometimes even high-powered saws are used for this process. Let's move on to the third process. Now the trees have been cut, and they also have been cut into smaller pieces. The extra branches have been removed. Now what do we do with them? We have to carry them away to a nearby railway station or a riverbank. This is for transporting them to the mills so that they can be processed and made market ready. So the process of dragging or pulling the logs out of the forest to a nearby riverbank, a roadside, or railway station is called skidding. And the people who are involved in the process of skidding are called skidders. So skidding is the third process or the third step in the process of lumbering, which is the pulling or dragging of the cut down logs out of the forest to a nearby roadside, a riverbank or a railway station. Now the final step is hauling. Now what is hauling? So hauling is the process of transporting the logs to the mills or factories, to the sawmills, right? Now there, these logs are processed and they are made market ready. That is, they are converted, that is, the forest products are converted into different other products that are used for commercial purposes. So hauling is the process of transporting the cut down logs to the mills and factories. And the people or the lumberjacks who are involved in this process are called haulers. Is a four-step process. That is the cutting down of trees, which is known as felling. Then the cutting down of logs into smaller pieces for the convenience of transportation, that is limbing, followed by skidding, that is dragging or pulling out the cut down logs to a nearby railway station or a place where transportation could be done easily, and finally hauling, that is transporting the logs to a mill or factory. So we saw that lumbering is a four-step process. So the mills and factories that are involved in the lumbering industry are modern mills and factories. They use modern machines and are one of the most important industries at today's global time. Now, if we take a look at the map of North America, we see that the country of Canada has certain areas that contribute majorly in the lumber production. So these major areas or states of Canada that help or contribute in the largest production of lumber in North America are British Columbia, Ontario, Quebec, Newfoundland and Labrador. So these are the major areas that contribute to the largest production of lumber in North America. But besides these, Canada in itself is one of the largest producers of lumber in the world, and it has a huge impact on the economy of not only itself but also of the entire continent of North America. Though Canada is the largest exporter of wood pulp and the largest exporter of paper in the world, with USA and UK as the most promised and the largest consumers, the process of lumbering in Canada has led to a long-term degradation of the coniferous forest in the country. So the long-term damage from logging hits the ability of the restoration of the Canada's forest. Now what can be done to restore these valuable forests? The process of avoiding deforestation, the process of preserving and conserving the young coniferous trees, and also by proper techniques of the management of these forests, can these forests be restored and the effects of long-term degradation can be reduced. Now Canada was the second largest producer of softwood lumber in 2020 after Russia. It still is one of the leading exporters of softwood lumber, and many countries from across the globe depend or rely on Canadian lumber industry for quality products. However, due to recent developments, due to environmental concerns across the globe, there have been different methods and techniques that have been adopted in a more sustainable manner so that soil degradation could be checked. And so, the Canadian lumber industry in the similar manner or in the same context is also being checked. Now, British Columbia, which makes up for 50% of the Canadian lumber production, is also one of the global leaders in sustainable forest management. It is taking care of the overexploitation of the forest cover and also making up for the same. It is also keeping in mind that soil degradation is kept at minimum and soil quality is conserved. So unfortunately, even though the Canadian lumber industry has switched to more sustainable methods of lumber production, it is now under threat. Why so? Because in current global scenario, we have switched more towards paperless work, and the developing environmental concerns and the protest against the same is putting the lumber industry into threat. So the lumber industry that is now striving hard to take pace of the environmental concerns and the climate change that is one of the major issues in the current global scenario is also under threat because of the changing global time, that is us switching to more paperless work. So in this lesson, we were able to understand and have a detailed understanding of the lumbering industry in Canada and also the life of lumberjacks who are completely involved in the lumber industry. We saw how lumbering, though is one of the most important and affluential industries in the world, is also one of the major reasons or causes for large-scale environmental damage. We have seen that Canada, which is one of the leading exporters and producers of softwood lumber, is now being kept at check so that it do not cause any more degradation and rather switch to more sustainable methods of production of lumber. However, due to environmental concerns, we see that now lumber industry, be it in Canada or worldwide, is now under threat because of the recent developments in environmental concerns. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and hit the bell icon. You can also register for free at deltastep.com or download the DeltaStep app to learn one-to-one with our amazing teachers or to get access to all our 5,000 plus amazing videos as per your school syllabus. Master each topic with our adaptive practice technology. Get million plus questions with step-by-step solutions and unlimited mock test. Get all your doubts resolved instantly. Learn via games and win amazing prizes like PlayStations and iPads. So at DeltaStep, learning is not just fun and easy, it is rewarding too. So register for free now.